What's going on, everybody? Gentleman 94 here. Welcome back to Sci-Fi Wednesdays and the Battlestar Galactica Viper Mk. This is it, everybody. This is the last episode in this build series, and I am excited to finish this kit and get it in my display case. Okay, so let me show you what's going on here. Now, this is the Viper as it stands now. We have put on the guns. We've weathered it. We have decals, of course. It's been gloss coated. Everything is ready to go. And I wanted to do one more thing. You know, I wanted to actually improve the weathering slightly. But let me go ahead and show you what we have on the close-up here. As you can see, we've got some colored pencil scratches and nicks here and there. We have some of the streaks. We've got the post-shade, pre-shade. We have a lot of the little nuances here and there. Some of the staining and all sorts of darkening of different paints. And I like the way it looks, but I think it needs something extra. And that something extra for me has got to be detailing in the panel lines. So here's the plan. I want to go ahead and do a sludge wash. And the sludge wash is going to get in there, it's going to darken the panel lines, it's going to leave kind of that grimy dirtiness in the different recessed areas of the Viper. And I think that's going to be a very good plan. So what we're going to do is we're going to create our own sludge wash out of just our basic tools here. And I'm really excited about this. I haven't done a sludge wash in years, so hopefully this will work well. So first things first, let me go ahead and say that you can use most any of these pigments, but I currently have AIM weathering powder, and this is great. This is grimy black. I like it. It works well. You can also use MIG too if you have them. And here I'm going to use some chalk pastels. This should be just perfect. As you can see, it's an earthen tone set. It's got everything from black all the way up to yellow and orange and different reds and things. It's very cool. So we'll put that aside. It's cheap too, which I like. We're also going to use some water. Now, distilled water is the best, but if you don't have distilled water, you can use tap water, depending on how caustic your tap water is. We're also going to need a little bit of this, and this is dishwashing liquid. You can use anything from Palmolive to 7th generation, whatever you want. And then, of course, our mixing cup and a piece of sprue that we can use to mix up our pastels. And we're going to need some dry droppers and a syringe for some water. And of course a brush later on. So here's the model. Let's see what we can do. Let's first take off the canopy here. I don't want to dirty that up. Put that aside. And let's go ahead and flip this over. The bottom part is pretty plain. There's not a lot of detail here, not a lot of markings or any sort of weathering. I mean, there's weathering, but it's not enough, I think. So I wanted to go ahead and do a little bit more. So let's put down our cutting mat. I definitely want to keep this white part clean. I don't want to dirty it up. So that's going to help quite a bit. But eventually, I will dirty it. You know I will. First things first, let's get our cup. And we're going to take some of this grimy black, and we're going to just dab a little bit into the bottom of this mixing bowl right here. So a little goes a long way. So be careful. Always put the cap back on too. You do not want to spill this stuff. And I'm going to use some of this chalk pastel. We're going to go with a brown color. And we're going to grab a hobby knife and we're going to scrape a little bit of this pastel into the cup. Let me show you how we do that. It's pretty simple. Just scrape a little bit in there till you have a desired amount. And again, it's personal preference. The more you want, the more you scrape in. The less you want, don't scrape as much. You know, let's also put a little bit of red in there for some kind of rust feel to it. And maybe a little bit of black. Just I want to see what that does, you know. Now we're going to go ahead and use our sprue and we're going to mix this up. And we're just going to kind of mix all the little particles together. And it's looking interesting. It's got a very interesting mottled effect. But again, we're going to have to do a little bit more before this is a traditional sludge wash. So yeah, it's pretty decent. So next, water. Let's go ahead and take some of our water and just get a syringe filled with it. Drop a little bit in there. And we'll go ahead and mix again with our sprue. And you're going to notice something interesting. It's not really mixing. It's just kind of sitting on top and forming this kind of hard layer. A couple of drops of this will help to break the surface tension and keep everything flowing. So I'll put 4 drops in there. And let's mix again and see what happens. There we are. You can probably notice that the surface tension is broken up. The clumps have separated and are finally mixing together with the water. Isn't that amazing? That is so cool. So let's get a brush now, and we're going to use the brush to final mix it up, and we're going to start applying it to the Viper. And my suggestion here, guys, is to go ahead and apply it in an area where you're not so worried about. And for me, that's the underside of the wing. So we're just going to take our brush, zoom out a little bit for you, and just slop that sucker on. I'm going to use circular patterns to make sure to really work it into the different panel lines and different areas of the wing section here. Just really mix it and really push it into the different areas. Back down, really just cover every nook and cranny of this thing. Just want to get it all sludge washed. Get that sludge wash everywhere. There we go. All in the intake, all inside of the wing. And we're going to get on top of the intake, the wheel landing gear areas, and up down the sides, down towards the back of the engines. You'll notice they kind of separates a bit. Just keep mixing it. It'll be fine. And there we are. Perfect. And we're just going to cover the entire bottom of the Viper. And you're going to pretty much kind of get freaked out. If you haven't done this before, you're going to look at this and go, oh my God, what have I done to my model? It's okay. Don't worry about it, because you have already overcoated with a nice gloss coat. So that gloss coat is dry and it's just going to wipe right off. So don't worry so much about it. Trust me, it's going to be a-okay. So that's what we have there. We're going to let that dry. Give it about 30 minutes, and then we'll be back, and I'll show you what I come up with. Okay, everybody, we are back, and the Viper is covered nose to tail cone in this sludge wash. And it's got bottom and top completely covered. So now we have to have the fun process of removing the sludge wash and really kind of getting it back into its normal form. So take a little bit of paper towel, and you're going to dip it in some water. Make sure to get it damp, not sopping, just damp. And we're going to just start removing some of the sludge wash. And I'll do a little bit on the corner here and show you what it looks like. See that? So you have the sludge wash, which is left in the panel lines, and it gives it that nice deep tone effect. It also kind of shifts the paint a little bit too, I find. Like it shifts the tones of the paint. Different contrast colors, and it's interesting looking. So again, it's up to you. Take off as much as you want or as little as you want. It's totally up to the builder. Now, for me, I'm going to take it down so that the majority of the color shows through, but you still have some of the streaking effects, and you, of course, have the panel lines that have been shaded, and now they've been sludge washed as well. So that's going to give them a nice pop effect. And I'm just going to use Kleenex paper towels. Use these paper towels and wipe in the direction of the airflow, guys. Keep that in mind. It's always going to need to wipe in the direction of the airflow. As you can see, yeah, that's a nice subtle shift from blue to black to slightly lighter blue to the panel lines. I think it looks really cool. So the rest of the kit has to be done now, just like that as well. Remove the sludge wash with your paper towel, slightly dampened with some water, distilled water if you have it. If not, tap water will be fine. And just work your magic on the entire aircraft. I'm going to do that. We're going to come back, and I'm going to show you what I've come up with, and hopefully this effect is a nice effect. We'll be right back. All right, everybody, we are back. It has been about 20 minutes, and yeah, I have successfully cleaned the entire bottom of the Viper, and it looks really cool. The panel lines pop now. They're not lost in just the monotone color of the Viper. And we've got a little bit of streaking. I've left a little bit of the dirtiness hidden in different nooks and crannies. I'm pleased. I think it looks great. Is it 100% perfect? No, but what model is ever 100% perfect? I mean, to be honest. So we're going to use a Q-tip as well. We're going to go around the different areas and pull out some of that stuff that's just kind of stuck there, because we don't want it too thick in certain areas. So we're just going to kind of blend it in. We use the paper towels for that, and of course the Q-tip, moistened Q-tip for anything that we can't reach with the paper towels. And again, leave them in the panel lines, because that's the whole point of it. So leave that sludginess accumulated into the panel lines to give it that contrast. And yeah, I like this. This is looking good. It's looking very good. Again, wipe in the direction of the airflow. And let's go ahead and flip it over, and we'll do the top side, and then we'll be back, and I'll show you what I come up with. So bear with us. We'll be right back. All right, everybody. It's taken a little bit of time, but I have successfully wiped off all the sludge wash. I've come back in, touched up a few of the areas that I wanted to add a little bit more scrapes, a little more scratches, and it's ready for flat coat. It's been drying a little bit too, so we're going to cover it in this Gunzy top coat. It's a flat top coat, and that should be just fine. Before we do that, though, we want to make sure we cover up that internal cockpit area, and then we're going to go ahead and coat this down. All right, the cockpit is covered. Let us do some nice even passes across it. Don't linger in one area too long. You don't want to frost your model. You just want to dull it. So if you stay in one area, it pools up or puddles, you're going to get a nice chunk of frost on your model. You don't want that. So again, nice broad strokes. All right, guys, we are back. And as you can see, the model is looking pretty good. We're done. The guns are on. Canopy is good. And I got to tell you, this is a sweet little kit. It's finished. I'm so happy it's done. Now, if you guys ever want to build one of these, there's a couple areas I'd watch out for. That cockpit is pretty bad. The guns are canted at the wrong angle. But other than that, this is a sweet little kit. Builds up very nicely. It's not too bad. Let me go ahead and give you a couple detail shots for you. And we're going to call this one done. And boy, 2 years in the making. It has taken me 2 years to build this model. And I am so glad that it's done. I think it's going to look really cool on my desk for sure. So thank you so much for watching, everybody. It has been 2 years in the making. We finally finished the Viper Mk 7, and we are done. So this is going in the display case as soon as it's cured, fully dried. It's going inside, going on the display case. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Tune in next time where we'll hopefully have another sci-fi kit for you guys. And stay tuned for more space action. Thank you so much, guys. We'll see you next week.